DBD just dropped a new developer update for this month of September of 2023, and includes a lot of big stuff we'll have to go through and discuss about. This includes anti-phase camping, a rework to the Skull Merchant, many map changes, other related tweaks to perks and killers, and much more. In this video, we'll be going through all of that, and I'll be talking about it with you guys a little bit. So let's have some fun, and let's see what DBD's got in store for us in this next dev update. As always, if you do enjoy the video, hit the like button, comment down below, and tell me your thoughts about all the dev update and what you guys think about it. And make sure you don't forget to subscribe. I will also be posting the full developer update link in the description below if you want to go read the full thing for yourself. Now for the big major part of this whole update. First I want to talk about, and that is anti-phase camping. They explain this, that you probably don't want to find yourself on the hook in the first place, but it can quickly become frustrating if the killer decides to wait nearby, preventing all but the most coordinated of teams from rescuing you. Camping has long been a contentious topic. While there are times where camping is the smart thing for the killer to do if there are survivors nearby, for example, there's not much the survivor being camped can do. To help in the most extreme cases, we are introducing a new feature which may give you a second chance. Going forward, you'll notice that a new meter will now appear whenever you are on the hook. This meter will gradually fill whenever the killer is near you, of course. The closer the killer, the faster the meter will build. Once it's completely full, you will have the ability to unhook yourself 100% successful in general, of course, even during the second hook phase as well, which usually in that phase, you can never really get off the hook by yourself, but now you can with this basically if you reach that meter fully. Unhook yourself in this way will also still grant you the same benefits. You'll gain the haste status effect and the endurance status effect, so you can take another hit and still run a little bit faster to kind of get away from the killer. But also, they do mention, though, that to ensure that this cannot be abused by aggressive survivors, the rate at which the meter fills will actually decrease or potentially even stop entirely when other survivors are nearby. Additionally, once the exit gates are also powered, the feature is then disabled entirely. This is because at the point in the match, the killer needs to do whatever they can to secure one last kill, so we can't expect them to graciously leave the hook. This new mechanic is intended to address the most egregious camping scenarios, discouraging killers from standing too close to a hook survivor for an extended period and creating opportunities for the other survivors to make the save. This, I have to say, is probably going to be a really good addition to helping out with that stuff. Well, I'm not one who sees a lot of like direct face camping as shown on the screen, or as everyone knows, like the Bubba base camp stuff, or anything like that. Basically, just anyone straight up staring at them. One thing for certain is that I do see tons of sometimes killers tend to patrol the area of where I or obviously others be hooked, and I mean patrol. Like they do not go anywhere far away distance. They will stay within range, that even if you unhook them, they'll just go straight forward to you and prevent you from healing, and basically just try to either take out the person that you already hooked previously, or go after the other suspect when they try to get a hit off them and try to go knock them out too as well and get them on their first hook, and so on and so forth. It can be quite tedious as well, so the addition of this, I hope for the best of this, will bring a little bit of balance to helping out, encouraging killers to don't camp out these survivors so easily, because obviously if they just do it, they will obviously miss their chance to obviously get the kills and stop anyone else who's working on gens or anything like that, but also add something so that it could still be beneficial to the killer and not be so aggressive and abused by survivors. I like the idea, the fact that the meter will decrease depending on, or potentially stop depending with how many wherever survivors are nearby, so that it will prevent something like this from being spammed. So like, especially like for example in a chase, if a killer is chasing a survivor in the area and they try to run around the whole entire area, well, at least that will slow it down completely, so that it makes it even more harder, and then just makes it waste so much time. So obviously for survivors, you got to remember though that you must go get a save when you absolutely should, and just remember though that don't worry that if the killer's still in the area with them, then you might as well just keep on focusing on the gens, because if they stay with it for a good amount of time, they'll eventually unhook themselves, the survivor, on the hook and free themselves without needing your help anyway if the killer doesn't leave. So that's also addition. So it will encourage survivors to still keep on working on objectives and stuff like that, and just wait for a good time when they think it's right to do so. So if another killer, or if the killer is chasing another survivor, then someone can go save them. If they're still in the area, they can just do what they're doing and just let them save themselves, and that'll just be so easy, and bada bing bada boom, just like that. So I think it's gonna be a nice little addition. So Hopefully it will just bring a little bit of balance to helping out with a lot of serious hardcore, like just tunneling the hell out of survivors with hooks and just camping out a lot, maybe within those areas when people try to unhook themselves or get unhooked by people or just anything like that. We'll just see how that goes. Next is the big one I think a lot of DBD players are going to be obviously rooting for pretty much. And that is the rework of the Skull Merchant. As we all know, the Skull Merchant came out a couple months back. I think back in, was it February, January? I can't remember though. It's been a while. I didn't buy the chapter. I just got her and the two survivors Ronaldo and Thalita separate. But anyway, the Skull Merchant came out months ago, and obviously it's no joke that the Skull Merchant is situational, and I mean very situational with her power involving the drones, as it has led to a lot of problems dealing with her and trying to overcome her attacks, whether she's being stealthy or getting you exposed by the drones, and even to the most annoying part, the fact that it could be used a lot abusively when it comes to, obviously, guarding generators, especially at the end, and that is referring to the whole 3-gen situation. The devs explained that it's been a while since the sound of drones first filled the entity's realm. Since then, the Skull Merchant's eyes in the sky have largely been used as eyes on the generator, quote, leading to some very long matches. And I know that because I've been in a few myself. In this update, we are overhauling the Skull Merchant's drones to reduce their effectiveness in defending generators while improving their strength in the chase. They mentioned tons of things, so hear me out and let's go over them right now. There's a lot of stuff to go for. The first one is Lock On, which I think is referring to whenever survivors are within the range and being detected by the drone, obviously. It will slowly build you up to be exposed, and also make the Skull Merchant see you are on her scanner. Active zones, being the main culprit behind the Skull Merchant's ability to defend generators, are no more, they state. On top of making survivors exposed, these zones provided the Skull Merchant with too much information on the survivors with them, allowing the killer to quickly react and chase them away. With active zones removed, the Skull Merchant's drones need a new way to lock on to survivors. So the lock-on idea that was originally is gone now, and now there'll be a brand new version of it in some way. Upon reaching 3 stacks of lock-on, the survivor will instead immediately receive a claw trap. So instead of just being scanned like normal and getting exposed, it seems that now when survivors just get scanned by the drone beam, they just straight up get a claw trap, which is the typical thing we all seen whenever you disable a generator. Disable a drone, and it would just leave you scanned completely for a while by the killer, so that they know where you are with her device. However, though, avoiding a drone scanners won't be easy thanks to the introduction of 2 new modes, which we're going to go through right now. The 2 new modes are both Stealth Mode and Scouting Mode. In Stealth Mode, the drone's spinning beams will be invisible, and the drone will be much quieter. Survivors will want to watch closely for the lights on the drone himself to tell where the beams are so they can sneak up and disable it. And Scouting Mode will allow the drone's scan lines to be visible and rotate much faster, making it more difficult to approach or run by undetected. In either mode, the drone scan lines will not detect a survivor who is stationary, effectively preventing them from being used to guard generators. A survivor can interact with a drone in either state, or to disable it for 40 seconds, or after which they will return to stealth mode. So basically now, the way they're trying to go for with the drones now is to make it more still encouraged for scanning, but not make it so very much to prevent generators from ever being finished or being repaired, but also to make it more as a kind of a watchful eye situation and whenever dealing with it. So now with the drones now, the lock on will now only just do is just give you a claw trap instead of just making you exposed. So besides obviously trying to disable, I believe, you can still get claw trap by just simply the drone itself like that. And there's 2 no modes now where you can choose either to put it in stealth mode where it will be quiet and the drone beams are invisible, but however though, survivors will still tell by just looking closely and watching out for the lights on the drone to know where the beams are looking at so they can be ready when they about to be scanned or not. And then scouting mode, which is just be visible, but it rotates very fast, make it difficult to approach or run by undetected, of course. But they do say though is that the scan lines will not detect a survivor who is stationary, so that completely prevents that from ever being a bad thing for when you're repairing generators. So I do like that very much. That kind of prevents that very well. Although, again, movement is one thing, though. I don't know how that's going to play out. Because, again, if a drone will not detect a survivor when it's stationary, I mean, who knows how that's going to play out. Unless, of course, obviously, the best play out is going to be for if the Skull Merchant obviously saw them briefly on her radar, she might just go over them and then make a move, which will obviously get them detected. So, obviously, that's also evades my point as well. Because as long as they're obviously being detected briefly, and then they go over to him, they can scare him off, and they'll get scanned very easily, especially in scouting mode, I believe, because if it's going very fast, they'll probably end up getting scanned so easily because they'll have to start moving if the Skull Merchant just goes up to their location and take care of the gen. So there's still a little effectiveness to that very much, and no need to worry about just simply being stationary, because eventually, the Skull Merchant's going to eventually go up to them and make a move, because if they do move, they'll still get scanned and by the drone. And obviously, Survivor can interact still with the drone and either that state to disable it for 45 seconds. So it's the same thing like before, pretty much, when disabling it. And it will also place the claw trap on them, either way by being scanned or by, I think, disabling it, I'm pretty much sure, like usual. Which, by the way, they also mentioned claw traps here too, which they explain that they will be receiving the following effects. These effects includes, if they are healthy and they get hit by a claw trap, they will be instantly injured. If they are injured, they will receive deep wounds. However, though, they do state this will not grant the survivor a speed boost. So even though if they get hit by this claw trap, it will not count as a typical like survivor base getting hit by a basic attack of a killer and getting that extra nice speed boost. They will not get that. It would just be a normal hit with no effects whatsoever, just that hit and that's it alone. But again, gotta be careful though, because if you get scanned with that claw trap, it's going to hurt you, which means you're going to be situational. They also mentioned with this, you suffer from the broken status effect until the trap is removed. So you will not be able to heal yourself until you get the trap off of you, which will be a while until it eventually is gone, which will last for 45 seconds, if I remember. Yeah, 45 seconds. Their location will be revealed on the kill scanner for a short duration as well. So short duration, I've seen them briefly as expected. Additionally, survivors with a claw trap who are scanned by the killer's drone, however, though, do receive some other negative effects too. They receive a 10% movement speed penalty for 6 seconds, and they're revealed to the killer with Killer Instinct on their location for 3 seconds. So you'll be revealed for a small bit of time, and even a small bit of time of having a penalty. So you got to make sure to keep on your toes, because if that killer catches up to you with that penalty, oh, you're in trouble now. So be mindful. And again, it will expire and you'll be able to remove it will be removed automatically after 45 seconds. So that's pretty interesting right there. Also, there's some quality of life changes that are going to be mentioned here as well for the Skull Merchant right here that they made some adjustments to. This includes, now the Skull Merchant has 6 drones instead of 4. The Skull Merchant will now immediately become undetectable for 8 seconds after deploying a drone. The minimum distance between drones is now 16 meters, which was once 22 meters. The killer's movement speed is no longer decreased when checking the scanner. Lock-on progress will no longer decays. Drones can no longer be manually reactivated. Drones can now be placed above or below other drones, deployed on different floors, etc. Failing to hack a drone will now grant 1 stack of lock-on instead of just simply instant lock-on. The Skull Merchant's footsteps are now quieter, making her harder to track behind walls. And they also did a couple updates to her chase music, as well as reviewed her add-ons to adjust some and giving new effects, of course. Combine these changes and push the Skull Merchant's drones in a more chase-oriented direction, giving them more immediate consequences when they are triggered rather than slowly building over time. At the same time, her ability to defend generators for excessive lengths of time has also been reduced substantially. We will be keeping a close eye on these changes and making further adjustments as needed. I do like some of the sounds of these changes so far. It's still making her quite a chase-off kind of killer, but yet not to the point where it's really going to just keep a game going to a longer extent, especially when people are trying to work on the generators. It will make her basically very aware where they are and keep survivors on their toes still to get movement when something goes up, but it will not ruin their chances of continuing with their objectives. So if you manage to take your time by a drone, whether it's stealth or scout, and work on a generator, you're not going to be scanned, luckily, as long as you don't move. You stay still. So even if you're working on a gen or you just simply stand there or crouch, you will, as long as you're not moving, you will not be scanned by the drone. But there is still effects when consequences when doing so, such as getting injured or deep wound if you're injured with the claw trap when you get caught by that stuff. and also suffering the broke status effects. You can't heal, revealing your location to the killer scanner for a few seconds, even getting a penalty of speed bonus and killer instinct. So there's a lot to deal with right there, of course. So be mindful about dealing with those drones still, obviously, but they will not be probably at the same strong length as they were before. So hopefully it'll be a little more easier for survivors to still take on the Skull Merchant, but they also still have to be mindful because, again, they could be chased off anyway. So I definitely think this could be pretty good. Let me know what your thoughts are about this. I think this could be a pretty good little thing that's happening. Of course, I was concerned about the Skull Merchant, and I was hoping at least some changes like these will happen. And these kind of changes, I hope for the best that these will hopefully make at least getting chased off from gens or chasing in general won't be so tedious, but it will still be quite something that survivors will need to keep up on their toes when dealing with the Skull Merchant. Now for the map changes. There are some updates to a couple of maps that they'll be reworking. This includes the Shadow Square and even also the Macmillan Estate. So these two explain. This update will feature a gameplay update to the Shadow Square map when reviewing feedback for this map. We identified a few points of feedback we want to address. They explain a couple of them, which includes low obstacles. It was possible to bump into small objects such as piles of hay or carcasses. Since these obstacles were so small, it was possible that you could bump into them without even seeing them, leading to some frustrating moments. I know, I've been there before. We've done a pass on these sorts of objects to ensure that anything which might block your path is clearly visible. In most cases, making them taller so they are easier to see. Size layout as well, where they explain the Shadow Square is among the largest maps in the game, and contrary to its name, it isn't even a square. It's actually a rectangle. Yeah, that's funny behavior. The size of the map can make patrolling a little difficult. To help with this, we have reduced the size of the map, turning into a proper square in the process. The positions of some tiles have been readjusted as a result, so they obviously made more of the obstacles that were lower more easily distinguished, so that you know where they are, and then you could be able to easily get around them without bumping into them and getting stuck like many times before. I'm pretty sure a lot of us deal with. And the size layout of the map, so it actually feels a little bit more easy to get around. So obviously it's more shrunk down now, so it's actually a square, as they jokingly say. And at least survivors and kills can get around easily. They also mentioned helping out with line of sight, where most obstacles in the map tend to be fairly low, making it quite easy for killers to spot survivors at long ranges, and difficult for stealthy killers to sneak up on survivors. To break up these long sight lines, we have rearranged some tiles to limit how far you're able to see from any given point. That's nice, so that now stealth kills can be a little more stealthy, a lot more, and not have to be caught so easily, like Ghostface or the Pig. And not only that, it makes survivors easy enough to basically still be able to hide to themselves, so that the killers can't find them too. And then last but not least is navigation for the Shadow Square, where they mentioned last but not least, we have made various changes to make the map easier to navigate. This includes making it clearer which objects can be walked on and which will block your path. So that is pretty good too. So nice way to do it. Hopefully this will lead to some better changes that will make the Shadow Square a little bit contemptible and fun, at least to enjoy for every side and be able to enjoy it. But I'll wait to see that for myself. I still hate the Shadow Square. Hopefully it will be good right there. Macmillan Estate as well, too, is getting its own rework in this way as well. And basically, what they explain is that our work on maps doesn't stop there. The entire Macmillan Estate realm is being expanded. Each map in this realm has received a second alternate version. So each variation of the Macmillan Estate realm-like area will now have its own second alternate version to it. What does this mean? The next time you load into the Suffocation Pit, for example, things might be a little different. The trademark mineshaft will still be there, but it may be in a different spot. The shape and layout of the map might also be slightly different. The goal with these variants is to add more variety to existing maps without changing the unique properties that sets them apart, such as their size, and bottleneck, or choke point that separates either side of the map, and so on. So they're basically trying to give them extra more layouts and versions of their maps, so that it's still obviously kept the same way as they are, but it still changes some different ways that chases can go for and how to get around the map. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Hopefully we'll see more even changes to update to these maps, like maybe some more, maybe a cool design changes or something like that. But who knows? I mean, this is pretty nice to know that we're hearing about this. Pretty cool. I'm pretty excited to see what, hopefully, the Shadow Square, especially the most, will get some changes. But Macmillan Estate, I'd like to see what the second alternate version will be like. We'll see what that realm area will have some ideas for. So only time will tell. Now, last but not least is a couple of related changes and tweaks to some perks and to killer tweaks. Now, before I get into the perks, just so you guys know, we only got 2 perks they talked about. One for the survivor and one for the killer. So yeah, there's not much to talk about for perk changes. They'll probably say that for the next big perk, like obviously a little healing update right there. Someday when they get around to it. Probably it's going to be like later on this year or something like that. And who knows whatever changes we'll expect. So only time will tell. But anyway, they made a small few tweaks to actually 2 perks. 2 of them. Ghostface's own Furtive Chase and Ronaldo Lyra's Background Player. So Furtive Chase is one of the lesser used killer perks, providing a way to switch obsessions through the match and reduce your terror radius during a chase. To give this perk a slight boost, we are increasing the terror radius reduction for each token to 5 meters, which was once 4 meters, for a maximum of 20 meters. Background Player also is getting kind of a small buff in this too. Again, these are very small buffs. This perk allows you to sprint very quickly when the killer picks up another survivor, creating an opportunity to get into a position for a save. Basically, Background Player is like an exhaustion perk, but only when you're nearby when a survivor gets carried by a killer, which can be useful in that way to help you get up close to flashlight save if you can, or maybe hopefully get ready to go in and close to get them off a hook, or maybe distract them, something like that, or just to get out of there if they're too close by. I mean, it all depends on the situation right there. But not only this perk is highly situational, but it leaves you exhausted, which could hinder you if you're chased shortly after. To make this perk is meaningful when it activates, they decide to increase the duration of the speed boost from 4 seconds to 5. So far, these different like buff changes are just minor to me. I don't think they're going to be as much. Furtive Chase, I will be interested to see how that plays out on some other killers I could use that idea for, but I don't think it's that big of a deal because, again, Furtive Chase, it's just a perk that I still don't think will be used as much, but hey, only time will tell. Background Player, also, again, I mean, it's just like, it's all right, I guess. I mean, it's no big deal to me, so yeah. Killer tweaks as well. They also announced some killer tweaks to help out with some of the killers, especially Trapper, Trickster, the Huntress, Death Slinger, and the Legion. So here's what they're all going to get. To cap things off, we also have a short list of adjustments for a few different killers. As usual, these are smaller scale tweaks that we managed to squeeze into various updates. The first thing is the Trapper. The Trapper fills a very unique role in Dead by Daylight since he's all over the cover and is unlocked right away. He ends up being a lot of people's first experience playing as a killer. Because of this, we try to keep him as simple and straightforward as possible. See a trap, set a trap. Among new players, the Trapper already performs fairly well, and we don't to throw off that balance too much. That said, in higher end matches, the Trapper can struggle to keep up. To assist in those cases, we have made a few changes. They now made it where instead of the map spawning 6 traps, it'll be 8 bear traps now. And also, the Trapper will receive a 7.5 haste status effect after setting a bear trap. We expect these changes to have a minimal impact in lower skill matches where the Trapper is already performing well, but provide a nice boost to higher end players who know how to take advantage of them. Additional bear traps will help ensure that you have an adequate supply, particularly on larger maps, and the added haste set effect can help close the gaps in case survivors catch on and begin running away while you set them. This is nice, I would say, very much. I mean, I still feel like there could be like there was a lot of ideas I've seen other people come up with, some ideas to help out with the trap situation. But hey, a nice little bit of 2 extra bear traps to help out with that sounds pretty nice. And the fact that you also get a bonus 7.5 haste status effect for the Trapper, that actually kind of helps out a lot because honestly, he is quite a normally slow kind of killer. And with that, setting up the bear traps can really push him back very easily. So I feel like with that could really help him out, especially in those larger maps like RPD, or the Time Board, the Shatter Square, or anything like that. You know, any of those maps are just huge. This could help out a lot. So, hopefully this will make Trapper a nice, contemptible killer to go against very high-end players with a lot more to deal with their perks, stuff like that, compared to Trapper, who only has bear traps as his thing, and he's mostly just a M1 killer, basically. The Huntress and Trickster get some little help tweaks, but these are just a little bit minor, I would say, because of their unique trick involving getting projectiles. For both of these killers, reloading your projectiles at a locker is a must. However, doing so gives survivors a big head start to run away and gain some distance. For this reason, many Huntress and Trickster players will run add-ons or perks like Iron Maiden to reduce their reload time. To improve quality of life and reduce reliance on these perks and add-ons, they have reduced the reload time for each killer to 3 seconds, which was once 4 seconds. So a 1 second shaved off when interacting with a locker to reload Trickster's blades or reload Huntress's hatchets. I mean, it's a nice small little buff, I would say, right there. That's not bad, though. I don't know if that would encourage people to stop relying on these perks or add-ons. I think people will still use them, in my opinion. But, I mean, hey, maybe this will be still quite quick enough that we'll tell people, okay, maybe I'll just use something else to replace that perk slot with something else better. So who knows? Maybe we'll find out as we give them a try. But hey, not bad. Small little buff right there. The Depth Slinger also is getting something similar to that. Speaking of reloads, the Depth Slinger will also find himself reloading very frequently. Because of this, add-ons on which it reduces reload time see a lot of use. To make these add-ons less essential, we have taken part of the effect of the Warden's Keys add-on and incorporated it into the base kit and adjusted the add-on accordingly. Depth Slinger, instead of now reloading in 2.75 seconds, will now be 2.6 seconds by default now. Second, they also increased the movement speed bonuses while aiming down sights for both the Jaw Smasher and Wanted poster add-ons from 1% and 2.5% and for 1.5% for the Jaw Smasher add-on and 3% for the Wanted poster add-on respectively to make them more interesting choice to consider. This is not bad though, so a nice way to encourage the Depth Slinger to be able to still reload more easily without needing to rely on an add-on. And not only that, though, those add-ons for helping them when aiming down sights will also be increased to make them more used out better, especially when aiming down sights. So I can see how much people are going to probably use this a lot very easily. I don't know how it's going to be, especially with certain perks. Like, I've seen a lot of Depth Slingers sometimes also use, like, Save the Best for Last, especially on that. So I wonder how that's going to go with increased melee attacks. So only time will tell. And last but not least is the Legion. They decided the only thing right here for the tweak for the Legion is they adjusted the Legion's BFFs add-on, which this add-on granted a 4% movement speed increase when the gates were powered so long as the killers managed to at least land enough Feral Frenzy strikes during the match. Since this effect needs to be earned and is only active during the very end of the match, they decided they are increasing this movement speed bonus to 6% to make it more impactful. So a small little buff right there. They just gave it up to 6% instead of 4% movement speed. And this makes sense, honestly, to me that they would do something like this. I honestly don't think it's too big a deal, but it's nice because, after all, the Legion's BFF add-on doesn't get much of use unless you get a perfect Feral Frenzy in the game pretty well to land enough hits, and then you need to also wait to the end of the game. So this add-on could be a little hit-or-miss situation right there. So this is not bad, of course, to see what happens. So definitely looking forward to finding out exactly what will happen in the future. But anyway, they finished off saying that they reached the end of this month's develop date, and each of the features and adjustments mentioned in this post will be available to try on the public test build starting this week, with the full update going live on all platforms at a later date. For the first time, join us tomorrow at 10 a.m. ET, so EST, for that time, and anywhere your time in the Dead by Daylight Discord server, as our designers run through the full patches notes early. As always, be sure to let us know what you think after you got your hands on them. Until next time, the Dead by Daylight team. Anyway, guys, that is it for the updates, the develop update for September 2023. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know again your thoughts on it in the comment section below. If you definitely like it or not. What are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's gonna be good? How do you feel about the Skull Merchant rework, the anti-face capping system, the small changes to the killer tweaks and perks, the Shadow Square and the Macmillan Estate updates to their maps, etc., etc. Definitely cannot wait to see what happens. Definitely look forward to it. Remember, guys, we'll be seeing the PT be very soon starting this week, so be ready for that, and it will be going live on all platforms on a later date. But for now, with that being said, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. See you guys next time. Keep on partying, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye, my friends.